Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Fin React. Now, I know you guys are probably wondering, Mike, your room looks a little more darker because of the lighting. I'm well aware of that one. But, what are we reacting to today? Well, we're going in the topic of Kamen Rider. Now, I know you're all thinking, I've seen the comments, you want to see the openings, right? Soon, I had to film it. But anyway, the only reason I'm not filming the openings yet, because, well, people like myself, people like others who watch this video, don't know much about Kamen Rider. The only thing we grew up close to Kamen Rider was Masked Rider. That was back when Fox Kids had Power Rangers, VR Troopers, and it only lasted one season. That wasn't really a successful season because, well, no one watched it. But Japan is big with Kamen Rider. It started back in 1971 to what we have today. A lot of transitioning. And you know what? I think it's a good opportunity for us to have a little bit of a history lesson. With the complete history of Kamen Rider from 1971 to 2024. This is also from this YouTuber, Akrimini Tokusatsu. If you haven't yet, guys, please subscribe. If you haven't to him yet, I already did on my other channel. I'm currently on my Fin Gaming channel. You guys should also check out that channel. But nevertheless, guys, let's not waste any time. These characters of all bug-looking monster heroes, let's check them out.
Why is Kamen Rider so legendary? From 1971's original Kamen Rider series to 2024's Kamen Rider Gav, the Kamen Rider franchise has built an incredible legacy and a rich history within Japan and throughout the entire world. This video will cover every single Kamen Rider series throughout history, as well as other major milestones in the franchise like movies, games, and even American adaptations. So if you want a video that you can show to people who don't know what Kamen Rider is, or if you just want to take an entertaining walk with me through the complete history of this legendary franchise, this is the video for you.
You see, Masked Rider wasn't really popular when it comes to things in America. I know back in the day for us, when we went to the stores like Blockbuster and all our video stores, there was a section of all Sentai, Kamen, all Japanese stuff, Godzilla, Ultraman. But the thing as kids back in the day, we didn't pay attention to that. We didn't understand a single concept about Kamen Rider. Now, that's what I was saying before. As we got to it, the only close we had was Masked Rider, which only lasted a season and made an appearance in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Season 3. However, Kamen Rider wasn't very big, and it's a good opportunity for someone like myself and also you guys to get a chance if you haven't really know much about Kamen Rider, because, well, Kamen Rider, to me, sounds very out of the ordinary. And I know people watching this video are going to say, Mike, you are very much right or wrong, but we have to be fair.
To tell the story of the Kamen Rider franchise, we first have to go all the way back to 1938, where a young child named Shotaro Onodera was born in the town of Tome in Miyagi Prefecture, Japan. Shotaro would take on the name Ishinomori, and he showed a lot of creativity and a talent for creating characters from...
If my closet was ever looking like that, where I did all my YouTube video and all the filming like that, I'd probably go crazy like The Shining.
From a young age. He showcased his abilities in various manga competitions throughout his childhood before he would eventually create a character named Skullman that would of course go on to become Kamen Rider.
And as a fun fact too, because I kind of remember this is also off of Capcom, because I remember, I don't know what game it was, but there was a variation of Skullman.
Kamen Rider is perhaps best known for featuring young adult men that become cyborgs and transform into armored superheroes with a theme of grasshoppers and other insects, although this has loosened up a lot over time, and in the modern age, not all series feature this bug theme. In fact, most don't.
Like that?
There are 3 eras of Kamen Rider, and these coincide with the eras of Japan's history. These eras are known as the Showa era, spanning from 1926 to 1989, the Heisei era, spanning from 1989 to 2019, and the Reiwa era, which spans from 2019 through the present day.
I'm assuming each one is different in their kind of way. Like the Showa era is more of like what Japan was available to use back in that timeline. And then the same thing goes for the next 3 era, because what I noticed with a lot more of the current eras he was explaining, the costumes and the variation of these Kamen Rider, I'm going to probably say masks like a couple times, so please don't slam me in the comments. I'm trying not to. It's just a variation. I think it's just the fact that we have more of a improvement throughout the years. That's why I think when we look at this one, this looks like more of a 2020-2024 era. It actually worked.
In 1971, Kamen Rider was born with the iconic original series, starring 2 main protagonists in Takeshi and Hayato, as they would take on Shocker and later Gale Shocker. Unlike modern-day seasons of Kamen Rider, this series ran for a whopping 98 episodes.
It's not bad for a season.
The story of Takeshi Hongo, a college student who was turned into a cyborg by Shocker, but they were unable to fully convert his mind, and he would rebel and battle against them.
Nothing like showing a clip 4
While
times.
filming a motorcycle stunt, Takeshi Hongo's actor Hiroshi Fujioka was injured and had to be replaced. They would replace him by Hayato Ichimonji, played by Takeshi Sasaki, and eventually they would join forces together, becoming the iconic Double Riders.
That's actually a good concept that they did, you know what? At the time of the situation, it's more like thinking on your feet. You know, the main actor who gets hurt, they replace with another actor. And then it's like, you know, we have 2 people. Why don't we change it up and pretend to have 2 Kamen Riders? So, that's actually pretty smart that Japan did.
This series set iconic tropes, such as Kamen Rider being a cyborg fighting an evil organization, and of course his preferred method of transportation, his rider machine Cyclone. To say that this series was iconic and legendary would be a huge understatement. Kamen Rider V3! In 1973, Toei would follow up the success of Kamen Rider with Kamen Rider V3, a direct sequel, featuring returning characters from Kamen Rider.
So I have the concept that probably in the early Showa era, a lot of the transformation for a lot of these ones are going to be very similar, but I have a feeling when I actually do the video of the morphing of all of them, they're going to change, because it seems like a lot of them are more upgraded from the current 2020 era.
In this series, Shiro Kazami wants to be a cyborg in order to avenge his family that he saw being killed by Destron. He becomes mortally wounded while risking his life to protect the Double Riders. So in return, they turn him into Kamen Rider V3. This series features Joji Yuki, also known as Rider Man, played by Takahisa Yamaguchi, who has one of the most unique rider suit designs in the franchise, being that his mouth is exposed through his helmet.
I was going to say, I think he was the only one when I saw in the beginning has the open mouth of Kamen Rider, which is smart, different. I don't know.
Our protagonist Shiro is played by Hiroshi Miyauchi, who also played Owl Ranger in Go Ranger, Big One in Jaka, and Chief Counselor Naoyuki Miura in O Ranger, plus multiple seasons of the Metal Hero franchise. This guy is a Toku legend.
We will do Metal Hero, guys.
As far as V3 suit design, it was a natural evolution from the looks of the Double Riders, featuring more red and a slightly more detailed design.
So I'm guessing in the concept, I kind of wonder what you guys that watch this video, how come, I'm guessing in the concept in the early era of Kamen Rider, are based off grasshoppers. But in the same time, I'm curious to know, why are the villains more form of other animals? I wonder if that's just a conception of what the creators were going with. But I'm kind of still curious about the grasshoppers, because I'm wondering what actually got their attention back then with grasshoppers. I think it's also a good luck thing in Japan, but I could be dead wrong. I don't want to shoot the gun, because then you guys are going to say you don't know anything about Japan. You're right. I don't. X.
1974 was the year of Kamen Rider X, where our main protagonist Keisuke and his father were betrayed by Keisuke's fiancée in order to assist God, the government of darkness.
Oh, I was going to say, when they say God, I'm thinking in my head, what's the Spirit of the Sky just doing to piss off a lot of these Kamen Riders?
Keisuke and his father to become mortally wounded. Keisuke's father, who was a robotics expert, turned Keisuke into a Kaizorg, also known as X-Rider or Kamen Rider X, in order to save his life. In this series, Keisuke starts as an easygoing character, with the optimism of somebody that's about to get married. But all that is ripped away from him, and he turns into a machine of pure precision and focus. His helmet is meant to look like a skull, and his helmet definitely has a look that calls back to the Skullman manga created by Shotaro Ishinomori.
That's cool.
Due to competition from anime on TV at the time, the show had lower ratings than the studio had hoped, and it only lasted 35 episodes. Also in 1974, we had Kamen Rider Amazon. This is the shortest Kamen Rider series ever, and one of the most violent. This show follows Daisuke, who was lost in the Amazon as a child. He was raised by wild animals before eventually being adopted by an Incan tribe. Nearly his entire village would be killed by Golgos, but not before an elder in the tribe performs a ritual to give him the power to become Kamen Rider Amazon. This was an incredibly iconic and unique new look for Kamen Rider, with a helmet design and a suit design that had never been seen before. This was the first rider to not use a belt to henshin, and the first Kamen Rider series since the original to not have any previous riders returning. This is all.
I'm also curious too, because I know they were saying before it was based on, a lot of the early ones were based off the grasshopper. This doesn't really look like a grasshopper, but anyone that really was big into the Amazon thing, I kind of want to know why it was short, and why do people consider it, I guess, violent in a way? I don't know if it's available on Amazon. I'm gonna have to probably go through this stuff and see if it's on Amazon.
The very last main Kamen Rider series that did not have a Sentai season air alongside it.
Oh. I wonder.
1975 saw the release of Kamen Rider Stronger, which was originally planned to be the final Kamen Rider series. This show follows Shigeru Joe, whose best friend and mentor Goro is killed by Black Satan. Because of this, Shigeru
Black Satan? That's new.
Himself get turned into a cyborg or Kamen Rider Stronger. He meets Yuriko, also known as Electronic Wave Humanoid Tackle, or Denpaningen Tekud, who is also a cyborg created by Black Satan, and together they would battle Black Satan and later the Delzer Army. Electronic Wave Humanoid Tackle isn't technically a Kamen Rider, but she definitely has the look of one, especially the ones from the early Showa era, and she is bug-themed, with Tackle's motif being a ladybug, and she was even created by Black Satan in the same way as Stronger.
I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think. I know he says that she's technically not considered Kamen Rider, but when technically she would be the first female Kamen Rider, would you guys consider her being Kamen Rider? Yay or nay? I mean, in a way, I think as much as she's not part of it, she has the aspects of a Kamen Rider, which I could be dead wrong. But I want you guys' opinion on this. Is she considered one, and is she technically the first female? Probably.
Unfortunately, the actress Kyoko Okada, who played Electronic Wave Humanoid Tackle, passed away at the age of 27 due to an asthma attack.
Aw.
Shigeru was played by Shigeru
Oh 07.
Araki, who also passed away in 2012 of pneumonia.
Aw. 07.
This was meant to be called Kamen Rider Spark, but that was trademarked in Japan. However, this would have been a really fitting name due to the show's focus on electricity. And this was the very first Kamen Rider series to have a temporary power-up for the main rider, that being Stronger's charge-up form. Kamen Rider! 4 whole years later, the Kamen Rider fandom would be introduced to Sky Rider. This was meant to be a reboot of the original Kamen Rider series, after the franchise had been off of TV for 4 whole years.
Wow.
Hence the name and similar suit design to Kamen Rider Ichigo. This show would revisit classic themes and tropes from the first 2 Kamen Rider series. In Sky Rider,
I will admit, watching that, it looks so cheesy, but with the probably what they had back then, it was probably the most entertaining thing. Just the flying is probably with the green screen. It's the funniest shit to watch back in the days of all, not just this, but all movies. It's funny.
we follow Hiroshi Tsukuba as he battles Neo Shocker. Eventually, the idea of this being a reboot was phased out over time, and classic Kamen Riders would appear, tying this into the continuity of the rest of the era. With a name like Sky Rider, this series was very focused on flight. However, this was also phased out over time, and as far as I can tell, this was because Shotaro Ishinomori was unhappy with the flight special effects, i.e. he didn't like how it looked when Sky Rider was flying around.
Well, to be fair, it's the stuff that you had back then. We didn't, even Japan and America, we didn't have the technology that we have today. We don't have the CG effects and all the stuff that we have today that we can use. It was more of green screen and improvisation in a way. But still, we didn't have the technology that we have today. So you know what? It may look cheesy, but probably at the age of 8 and 9, we weren't paying attention to that.
In 1980, we were introduced to Kamen Rider Super 1. Our protagonist, Kazuya, volunteers for cybernetic surgery in the International Space Development Program in the United States, so he can be an astronaut who doesn't need a spacesuit to survive in space. Unfortunately, before he can make it to space, the base where his operation is being performed is attacked by the Dogma Kingdom, with everyone else being killed. He goes to Japan and is trained by a martial arts expert named Master Ginkai, who teaches him how to henshin into Super 1. This show featured multiple types of interchangeable hands with different strengths and elements, and this functioned as a prototype version of the form switching that we see today. In 1984, Toei released a one-off special titled Birth of the 10th Kamen Riders All Together, and this was the introduction of Ryo Murasame, also known as Kamen Rider Z-Cross. Ryo was a pilot who was attacked by a UFO while with his sister before being kidnapped by the Badan Empire, who turned him into Z-Cross. With his memory erased, he does their bidding.
These concepts of how these guys become Kamen Rider amazes me in a way. It seems like in the same concept, it's like either involves aliens or technology of science. I can imagine back in it's like I can imagine like, Mike, we need you to become a Kamen Rider. Use the technology and science to become one of these and morph into a cool concept. Sign me up. Do I have to work? Only when needed. Okay, cool.
Quickly regaining his memory and escaping. He learns of the other riders that came before him, and they would team up together. Although this is only a special, Z-Cross is considered the 10th rider and often represented as a season retroactively. This special marks the final unhenshined appearance of Shiro Kazumi, also known as Kamen Rider V3, Joji Yuki, also known as Riderman, and Kazuya Oki, also known as Kamen Rider Super 1.
So in a concept, this is more like the crossovers that we have for Super Sentai and Power Rangers when two different seasons form into one. But instead, we have 10 seasons worth of Kamen Riders in one season, basically.
1987 saw the release of one of the most popular and loved series in the history of the Kamen Rider franchise in Kamen Rider Black. This is a legendary entry marked by a dark tone, a gritty look, and a very emotional story. This show is a drama in the fullest sense. Black introduces us to Kotaro Minami, who is portrayed masterfully by Tetsuo Kurata, and he delivers a heavy and impactful performance where you're going to feel the agony that he feels during his fight against Shadow Moon and the Gorgon. It was around this time that the look of Kamen Riders in general started to change a little bit. The helmets became a little less bulky, and the armor started looking a little more like armor instead of cloth. The aesthetics here and the tone would remain influential to future iterations of Kamen Rider for years to come. In 1988, after the success of Kamen Rider Black, the executives at Toei agreed to go ahead with a sequel entitled Kamen Rider Black RX. In this series, Minami Kotaro returns, and he refuses an offer to join the Crisis Empire. Because of this, he's thrown into the sun, where he would become Kamen Rider Black RX.
Damn you, son!
This show is notable for featuring Rideron, which was a red car instead of Kamen Rider's signature motorcycle. And this was also the first show to introduce form switching into the franchise officially.
That's a Kamen Rider?
1992 was an absolutely packed year for the Kamen Rider franchise.
Yeah, I was born in
Shin Kamen
1992.
Rider Prologue, a film celebrating the 20th anniversary of the franchise. Because this was 20 years later, this film was meant to attract fans of the original series that had now grown into adults, and that's why the film was a lot darker and more violent. Our protagonist here is
Worse
Shin
than Amazon?
Kazumasa, who is fused with grasshopper DNA against his will, leading him to fight against the Institute of Super Science, or ISS. Shotaro Ishinomori originally planned for him to be called Kamen Rider Gaia, with a more traditional look, but later on they changed this to Kamen Rider Shin and gave him a suit that was more biological and insect-like. Ishinomori himself even appears in this movie as a spy.
Oh.
Also in 1993, we had the release of Kamen Rider on the Super Famicom. This was a game based on the original Kamen Rider series, released 20 years after the show that it's based on. It was a beat-em-up style game, allowing two players to play as Kamen Rider Ichigo and Nigo respectively. This game made it possible for a new generation to experience the universe of the original Kamen Rider series, and you can even play it with a friend.
Well, the thing is also the concept, we never had this for Super Nintendo. I know they have for the Famicom, and back then the Famicom would probably had less games that were available to play compared to Super Nintendo. But to me, this is more like the variation of TMNT 4, Batman Returns, Fatal Fury, etc. A lot of beat-up games that were very popular. I think nowadays, most games that you find are Kamen Rider, even on websites, you probably can't find any more things on Amazon. You probably have to go on like a lot of eBay, Temu, and all those things just to find these games. I'm kind of curious to know what the price would be nowadays. A lot of games nowadays for the classic Super Nintendos range between at least 50 to 100 depending on the title and the popularity. But at the same time, things like this, maybe 20. I would say a generous $20, but I don't know. I don't know, nowadays, the US, we don't really have a lot of Kamen Rider games that were available for us, so it's very difficult for us to find it. If anyone ever knows where I can get it, I might do it for the Finn Gaming channel, but this time right now, I don't know. Ultraman!
Rounding out a huge 1993 was Ultraman vs. Kamen Rider,
a
TV special featuring mini clips and interviews with the people involved from both shows, where we have Kamen Rider growing into a giant to fight alongside Ultraman.
Okay.
This was a small project, but fans in 1993 welcomed it, and it kept the spirits of these legendary Toku characters alive and well.
Why not?
Kamen Rider J.
Jay.
1994 was the year of Kamen Rider J, the first rider to be able to grow into a giant. Koji Segawa is a photographer
Technically.
who is killed while attempting to protect his little sister named Kana. He's thrown over a cliff and Kana is captured. The Earth Spirits resurrect Koji, and he becomes Kamen Rider J, who is assisted by his aide Barry.
Okay,
Jay is
interesting.
played by Yuta Mochizuki, who also played Geki in Zyuranger.
Zyuranger. See, this is the only thing I would have to say. This is Mask Rider for us. Now, I know he's going to talk about it, but at the same time, guys, this is what we had for close to Kamen Rider. You had the special appearance in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and you had almost a season worth of Mask Rider. Why wasn't it successful in the United States? I think the fact that it was also getting a competition with VR Troopers and Big Bad Billboards. We were only taking conceptions from Japan and using it to our advantage. And then after that season was over, we couldn't really make more with what we got. So we kind of said, screw it. We'll move on. And also the fact that eventually Disney bought Power Rangers Saban, and we all know that story.
1995 would live in infamy with Saban's Masked Rider, one of the largest blemishes on the resume of Kamen Rider.
I have traveled a vast distance from the planet Edenoi.
After the success of Power Rangers during the 90s, Saban and Toei decided to team up in order to bring Kamen Rider to the English-speaking world. This resulted in what is widely considered to be one of the worst adaptations of all time. This show is about an alien named Dax from planet Edenoi who travels to Earth alongside his companion Furbus, who looks like a giant Furby, and he meets a family who are pretty much devoid of personality and acting skills.
Ecto Phase, activate!
The problem that it wasn't successful a lot for, I would say, I know they say consider this the quote worst, but in the conceptual that we had back then, we were kind of just using clips from Japan and then putting an American twist to it. It wasn't successful. The problem was, I was going to say, compared to what Japan did and compared to what we did in America, it wasn't as best as we did compared to Japan. Because Japan, you had already, I would say, 13 or 14 Kamen Riders before this. This is the only one we ever did. But we didn't move on from it. We didn't take the variation. We didn't take the next step. Japan all of a sudden said, hey, US, I'm creating more and you guys aren't doing anything. So, you lose.
They tried to shove Kamen Rider and a family sitcom together, and it just doesn't work. An unfortunate blemish to the legacy of Kamen Rider in the West.
But the problem was they actually did do a little bit of a interesting conception during season 3 of Power Rangers for us. If you guys don't know, it was in the 3rd season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers when I think when they didn't have a Pink Ranger, and all of a sudden we sent them to a different planet where I guess they had the villains of Kamen Rider were trying to attack and thinking that they're the villains, and then all of a sudden we had the American crossover for Kamen Rider and Power Rangers, which honestly didn't really succeed compared to what we actually get nowadays with Power Rangers and Kamen Rider crossovers for each of their seasons.
1998 saw the release of a Kamen Rider game on a brand new cutting-edge system, the PlayStation, allowing fans to experience the original Kamen Rider series all over again. This was a fighting game featuring characters and locations that fans of the original series would be really excited to see. The gameplay was nothing revolutionary here, but this was definitely a noteworthy release in the history of Kamen Rider. 1998 was also a year that would go down as a sad one for Kamen Rider fans, as we lost Shotaro Ishinomori due to heart failure on January 28, 1998.
07.
It was unclear what would come of the Kamen Rider franchise with the loss of its creator and visionary. In 2000, Kamen Rider would return inside of the Heisei era with a new hero, a new legend, in Kamen Rider Kuga. This was the first series in 11 years.
Wow.
The main protagonist in Kuga is Yusuke Godai, who finds an ancient artifact that allows him to become Kuga in order to battle the Gyorongi, or
Kuga
life forms. This was the final Kamen Rider season to feature only a single rider, as every season following Kuga would feature multiple riders.
Now, what's your opinion about that, guys? I kind of wonder, would you rather have one single rider for a show, or would you rather have that multiple? I think, to me, the only reason it would be a little scary for having it as multiple Kamen Riders, because then people would start saying, oh, that's just like Sentai, or something like that. But at least if you have one Kamen Rider, the show reflects just on that Kamen Rider, which I think would have been better, but I don't know. It's the Heisei era, so I never know.
Kuga would also feature multiple forms that were different color swaps and featured different weapons. And this was also the first season to air alongside a Super Sentai season on the same network, leading to Superhero Time.
That's cool.
In 2001, Toei released a direct sequel to Kuga titled Kamen Rider Agito, and this show features 4 very different riders. Shoichi becomes Agito, a magic-based rider whose name is Latin for move or keep moving. Makoto becomes G3, a mechanical and technology-based rider who's based off of Kuga and actually puts his suit on. Ryo is Gills, a biological rider whose armor actually grows from his body.
That has to suck.
And Kaoru is the incredibly cool Another Agito. This was the final Kamen Rider season to feature the Ishinomori-style belt design. Also in 2001, the Ishinomori Manga Museum, named after Shotaro Ishinomori, opened in Ishinomaki, Miyagi Prefecture, Japan, to showcase some of the most culturally significant manga in history and to educate people on an art form that Shotaro Ishinomori himself loved so much. Even though Shotaro was gone, his legacy was well remembered, and the franchise he created was headed in an exciting new direction.
I wonder if that thing still exists, so I don't have anything to really answer that question right now, but if you guys know it, please let me know. Might be a nice place to go to on a bucket list.
2002 brought Kamen Rider Yuki, a very popular season, especially amongst fans that enjoy having a lot of riders. Riders travel to the mirror world via reflective surfaces, and these riders compete in the Rider War, a winner-take-all competition where the victor will be granted a single wish.
Wait, but I thought they just said they're done with the belt morph. I'm confused. I thought they said they were done with the belt morphers, but okay. Never mind. Let's continue on.
Yuki is known for having a very unique style, and this series has a lot of cool attributes, like being the first season to use cards, and it was also the first season where riders had a device that activates and announces their abilities and attacks. This was also the first season to feature villain riders. It was around this time that the team at Toei started getting more experimental and creative with suit designs, as evidenced by the unique and elaborate helmet designs showcased within Yuki. 2003 was the year of Kamen Rider Phase, a show in which Smart Brain Org is trying to take over the world.
Ooh, I like
of
that
Orphanox,
outfit.
who are the next stage of human evolution. They create 3 suits called Rider Gear, which are Phase, Delta, and Kaiza. Our main protagonist in this series is Takumi, who along with his allies would fight against Smart Brain to prevent them from replacing the world with Orphanox.
Okay, good to know.
Phase brought with it a dark, quality story, with excellent acting and explosive action, and 2003 was another great year for Kamen Rider. 2004 saw the release of Kamen Rider Blade, a playing card themed season featuring multiple riders that represented different suits from the card deck. Our main protagonist is Kazuma, who becomes Kamen Rider Blade after being ordered, along with Sakuya, by Board to fight against creatures called undead. This series featured some really cool writers, including Garen, Chalice, Leongo, and of course Blade himself. The show featured 2 intros, and the second intro looks cool, and you could tell their focus was just on making it look cool for the audience. But the first intro is genuinely hilarious to me, and it's really unique in its weirdness.
Well, I can't say that until I actually do my own review. Foreshadow. I'm going to do it, guys. Don't worry. Or will I? I'm definitely going to do it, guys. I don't have... But there might be... There are no other projects there, Mike. We're just getting to the point. We're going to do the Masked Rider opening so people can stop asking me this. Well, no offense. I like when you guys request things. But no. I'm done. We don't need the whole foreshadow. We already know what's going to happen. I'm going to do it anyway because I love you guys. Some of you guys. Most of you guys. Continue on.
Kick it. This was the first season to have 2 intros since Skyrider. In 2005, Toei released Kamen Rider Hibiki. This show wasn't even originally designed to be a Kamen Rider series.
Are those drumsticks?
And in pre-production, many different themes were tossed around, including ninjas and yokai, but when Bandai demanded that the Kamen Rider name be attached to the project in order to sell more toys, the original themes would be dropped, and the character would become an Oni-themed Kamen Rider.
Okay.
By episode 29, chief producer Shigenori Taketera was fired, and this was unofficially attributed to low ratings and low toy sales. After the firing, there was a visible tone shift on the show, and it began to resemble a more traditional Kamen Rider series. Hibiki introduced a lot of unique things into the franchise, including the fact that there are no belts to henshin, and this is the only series with an instrumental theme.
Kamen Rider.
The first.
2005 would continue with Kamen Rider the First. Kamen Rider the First was a modern-day reimagining of Shotaro Ishinomori's classic original series. This movie took some liberties in regards to story, but ultimately serves as a creative and well-made Kamen Rider project that shows a lot of love and respect for the original series.
Okay, interesting.
2006 was an important year for Kamen Rider, as we would be introduced to the very first HD Kamen Rider series in Kamen Rider Kabuto. The series takes place 7 years after a meteorite hit Shibuya, and shape-shifting creatures known as worms emerged from the disaster. This show added a cast-off feature, giving a unique external layer of armor over the rider's base armor, something completely fresh and new to the franchise. This show is notable for having a lot of unique riders with varied story arcs. The main protagonist is named Soji, and he's very unique within the franchise due to being extremely arrogant most of the time. Kabuto is also very unique due to its food and culinary focus.
Is that a bad thing? I mean, who's complaining about food?
2007 would bring with it an absolute cultural phenomenon within Japan in Kamen Rider Den-O. Ryotaro is a huge wimp until he's possessed by the Taros, because they imbue their own personality unto him and even change his non-henshin look.
Okay.
Ryotaro travels with Hana and the Taros through time on the Den Liner to fight against evil Imagins, and they also encounter Kamen Rider Zeronos. Takeru Sato, who plays Ryotaro, claims that the reason for the show's success was the comedic timing. Because the show was so successful, it would lead to a mountain of revenue for Toei and more crossovers than any other Kamen Rider series in history. Following on the heels of Kamen Rider the First, 2007 would continue the anniversary celebration that the first started with the release of Kamen Rider the Next, a reimagining of Kamen Rider V3 with a much darker and more intense tone featuring horror themes. Like the Next, this movie introduced these characters to a new generation and put them in an interesting premise set in the Heisei era. Tsuburaya Productions actually helped with visual effects for this movie, and they are of course
that boy got launched
of Ultraman. 2008 was the year that Kamen Rider would take on a campy vampire theme with Kamen Rider Kiva. The tagline for this series was Wake Up, Break the Chains of Destiny. This show takes place across two time frames simultaneously, being 1986 and 2008, allowing the audience to experience the cause and effect of certain story beats.
Right.
Our soft-spoken protagonist is Wataru, an introvert who's a human and Fangire hybrid, and this is actually a huge part of the plot, where we would explore Wataru's family history and his place within the hierarchy of the Fangire species.
I'm sorry, was that a dragon dinosaur thing just came out of a building? Okay, interesting.
This show introduced some really unique elements to the franchise, featuring Wataru's ghostly allies called the Arms Monsters, who provide Kiva with power-ups and live in a building that turns into a dragon.
Arm Monsters? Sounds like a hentai. Don't judge me, people. I'm a good Christian boy. I don't watch this stuff.
Also introduced us to Kibot, a bat that bites Wataru's hand to facilitate his henshin.
So that's the way he morphs? The thing just bites his hand and becomes a common? That's pretty dope.
Failed to achieve the same levels of success as Dino, this show introduced fans to some fresh and interesting new things that had never been seen before within the Kamen Rider franchise.
Well, you figure we're in the early 2000s, of course. Gee.
Going into 2009, no Rider fan knew just how huge it would end up being.
I swear that I thought that was a wine bottle. I don't know why. We don't ask questions, I guess.
With several awesome projects to keep the fanbase happy. One of which was Kamen Rider G, a TV special meant to celebrate the 50th anniversary of TV Asahi, as well as promote Kamen Rider Decade. This special followed Goro, a sommelier who henshins into Kamen Rider G as he takes on the organization Shade. Kamen Rider G is a wine-themed rider who literally uses a wine bottle and corkscrew to henshin, and
Okay, never mind. I was not tripping. I swear I just said, I'm like, it looks like a wine bottle. Wow. Creative at its finest. That's scary, though.
has a sword with a corkscrew attached to it. This special is often overlooked, but it brought the fandom something incredibly unique with a wine-themed rider, and was just one part of what would be a great year for Kamen Rider.
Right.
Decade.
In 2009, we of course got Kamen Rider Decade, an anniversary season celebrating 10 years of the Heisei era. This show had two catchphrases. One is Connect Everything by Destroying Everything, and Heisei Rider 10 years early. Although the show...
Wait, what was the first one?
Thing by Destroying Everything, Heisei era. This show had two catchphrases. One is Connect Everything by Destroying Everything.
Connect everything by destroying everything. Well, that makes total sense.
Heisei Rider 10 years early. Although the show only had 31 episodes, it was stuffed full of fan service and was focused primarily on making longtime fans happy. This show exists amongst the larger Riderverse, where our main protagonist named Tsukasa, also known as the Destroyer of Worlds, henshins into Kamen Rider Decade, and he travels to the universes of other Heisei-era riders as they are converging into one. He can even henshin into other riders from the Heisei era.
Okay.
Although Decade was a shorter season, the impact of the show was undeniable, as Decade would be featured in many crossover projects over the years.
大ショッカー
2009 also brought a huge team-up movie in Kamen Rider Decade: All Riders vs. Dice Shocker. This project served as the official movie adaptation of Decade that gave the audience some additional context about Tsukasa and featured a team-up of every rider from the history of the franchise up to this point.
So to me, it sounds like the variation of what we got with, I believe, Super Mega Force, when we had all the Rangers in one kind of circle fighting the monsters. But this is more Kamen Rider, so...
In addition to all of the Henshin riders throughout history, this movie also featured the nostalgic appearances of Tetsuo Kurata as Kotora Minami, or Kamen Rider Black, and Toshiki Kashu as Shoichi Sugami, or Kamen Rider Faiz, as well as tons of classic villains from the franchise. When this movie released in theaters, it actually beat Harry Potter in the box office, earning over 2 billion yen.
Which I believe that was Half-Blood Prince, if I don't want to be mistaken, which is actually quite surprising. But, you know, I was going to say Harry Potter I don't really know much about because I only finished... I watched only after Chamber of Secrets. I never watched anything after that. Probably sad, isn't it?
A huge success for Toei commercially and a memorable part of 2009.
Dragon Knight.
Also in 2009, Kamen Rider would have another chance at winning over Western fans with a new American adaptation titled Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. Using footage from Kamen Rider Yuki, this show aired on the CW television network during its CW for Kids programming block, but it was ultimately canceled before the final 2 episodes aired on TV.
Kamen Rider.
Okay, anyone in America actually know about this one? Because honestly, I have zero idea about this one that we tried to do it a second time, which didn't work.
Producer Aki Komine convinced Toei to let him make a pilot for an American adaptation of Kamen Rider in the same style of Power Rangers, and ultimately Ryuki was chosen for the adaptation due to the large quantity of riders and the fact that Ryuki has a female rider. Despite the show's cancellation, Dragon Knight actually won a Daytime Emmy Award for stunt coordination, and it's remembered mostly positively by the community. There was also a Kamen Rider game released in 2009 that would lead to quite a few sequels and spin-offs, Kamen Rider Climax Heroes on PlayStation 2. This was a Kamen Rider fighting game commemorating 10 years of the Heisei era and featuring all of the primary Heisei riders up to this point. This game series has become extremely popular in the fandom, and it was another thing that made 2009 such an awesome year for Kamen Rider, but it wouldn't be the last.
I never saw that Blockbuster. Ooh.
Also releasing in 2009, a fresh take on the Kamen Rider formula, Double is a detective show featuring 2 people that share the same rider body, hence the name Double. The catchphrases for the show were, "We are the 2-in-1 Kamen Rider," and "This clinches it." Kamen Rider Double uses Gaia memory sticks to swap left and right side forms that also provide him with different color combinations. Shotaro is what I like to call a detective's detective. He considers himself hard-boiled, although he gets called half-boiled through a lot of the show, something he's not a huge fan of. He's one stylish dude, and his surname Hidari means left, as he becomes the left side of Double's
He's
body.
dapper looking.
He constantly struggles to live up to his dead mentor's legacy, whose daughter Akiko becomes his landlady, and she has the personality of a young child.
Cyclone.
それってガイアメモリー？
Then we have Philip. He's the right side, and he searches for useful information and does a lot of research involving key words to solve cases. He's definitely not what he seems, and his story has an excellent twist. Kamen Rider Double featured some excellent lead protagonists that are very easy to root for.
この日を待っていた。
This show also features Ryu, also known as Axel, who's a cool rider that's based around speed, and he eventually falls in love with Akiko. We also have Museum, one of the most memorable and interesting evil organizations in the history of Toku. This show has several loving nods to the creator of Kamen Rider, Shotaro Ishinomori, including Shotaro Hidari having the same name, the green and black color scheme reminiscent of the Showa era, and Kamen Rider Skull, a reference to the Skullman manga that Ishinomori created so many years prior.
それがハードボイルドだ。
This was the first Kamen Rider series to use the term Kamen Rider in English letters on the logo and in marketing, because before this it was always Masked Rider. Double will always be remembered as a cool, fresh, and well-written entry into the franchise.
Okay, cool. Nice underwear, dude.
2010 brought us Eiji, also known as Kamen Rider Oz, a nomad with a tragic past who dresses like a hobo and has a not-so-secret obsession with underwear.
Oh. Oh. Say that to every blue-collar person, because that's the most struggle that we pay for half our paychecks to, underwear. Can anyone relate? Probably not. Maybe so. Why are we asking questions, anyway? Underwear is very important for all of us.
Eiji encounters Ankh,
That's like
the
Taco
arm of a
Tuesday
flea,
almost.
which is a creature made of metals that feed on the desires of humans, played by Ryosuke Miura, who also played on a show called Caesar X, and the charisma and the interactions between Eiji and Ankh would be a standout of this season.
これで少しはマシに動ける。
Why is it, I say this all the time, even for all the Sentais, why must all the villains actually look so freaking adorable? I hate judging, but god damn.
Our two leads encounter Kogami-san, who assists them by providing various resources and equipment, but clearly he has ulterior motives, and this guy also loves to say,
Happy birthday.
Kamen Rider Oz
Happy
also features
birthday!
Kamen Rider Birth, an incredibly unique rider with multiple users, who's themed around capsule toys. One thing that's really unique about Oz is that he's able to mix and match metals to combine different forms, but he becomes really cool and powerful when he combines three of the same type, like Tajador.
Oh.
This show is critically and commercially successful, and Oz would continue the streak of excellent Kamen Rider seasons at the time.
Okay.
2011 would see the release of a huge team-up movie in Oz, Dino, All Riders, Let's Go Kamen Riders. This movie of course featured Oz and Dino, but it also featured the double riders of the original Kamen Rider series, plus all of the other riders throughout history. Serving as a celebration commemorating the 40th anniversary of the franchise and the 60th anniversary of Toei Company, this movie continued the tradition of fan service and crossovers within the franchise. The fandom was also treated to some nostalgic appearances from other non-Rider Toku characters like Kikaider, Inazuman, and Zubat, and a cool new form from Oz using the Imogen and Shocker medals. Appropriately, the catchphrase for the movie is "Oh the world, these are Japan's heroes," due to the large amount of legendary heroes featured here, and this movie served as a great showcase of the Kamen Rider franchise to new fans. Later on in 2011, we were introduced to one of the most unique and fresh Kamen Rider seasons of all time in Kamen Rider Foze, a 40th anniversary project themed around space and centered around the Kamen Rider Club of Amanogawa High School. Our main protagonist is Gintaro, an eccentric and charismatic new student who recently transferred and is determined to be...
Yo, the hair though.
Yuki is Gintaro's childhood friend, and she is just as quirky and fun on screen as Gintaro, making for an excellent cast that portray their characters with enthusiasm. This season took a lot of risks in regard to theming and style, but it resulted in a very memorable season that was consistently entertaining and really fun in general.
Because they didn't do the same thing that the other seasons did?
Also released in 2011 was the game All Kamen Rider Rider Generation for the Nintendo DS system. This was a fun arcade-style beat-em-up game that also received a sequel later.
Never had a DS, to be honest. But that'd be kind of cool. Series a reminder for 10 a.m. tomorrow to take Claritin. Oh, that's cool.
In 2012, the franchise would go in yet another new direction with Wizard, a fantasy-themed Rider season with quite a bit of comedy and charm added on top of the Kamen Rider formula. The main protagonist for this season is named Haruto, and he uses rings of different elements to hench it into Kamen Rider Wizard. This series also featured an incredibly likable secondary hero with a cool suit in the mayonnaise-obsessed Kosuke, also known as Kamen Rider Beast.
You say mayonnaise?
This season also features a lot of quirky comedy, mostly delivered by Shunpei. Although this series didn't quite reach the same height as the previous few seasons, Wizard's uniqueness created new possibilities for what could be featured in Kamen Rider.
Okay.
2012 also marked the 10th anniversary of TV Asahi's Superhero Time TV block, and to celebrate, Toei released Kamen Rider and Super Sentai Superhero Taisen, a crossover film featuring the company's two most famous franchises.
That's a lot of Rangers in Kamen Rider. I will have to say I'm impressed.
This movie focuses primarily on Decade, Foze, Oz, Go-Busters, and Go-Kaiger, but the vast majority of Riders and Rangers throughout history are featured here. In this film, Captain Marvelous leads the Dai Zangyak fleet against all Kamen Riders, while Kamen Rider Decade leads Dai Shocker against all Sentais. This movie brought the stakes and intrigue of a heavyweight fight to the big screen, and a love letter to both Kamen Rider and Super Sentai.
That's a lot.
2013 would continue the trend of wild and fresh ideas being implemented into the Kamen Rider formula with a much-loved and very unique season, Kamen Rider Gaim. This show features
She's cute.
Fruit Samurai, which might sound childish on surface level, but this show actually has a surprisingly dark tone at times, with a lot of depth and weight to the story.
That's kind of cool.
In the universe of Gaim, reality has become almost unbearably hard and depressing for most people, so dance troupes are formed to liven up the community, and one of these troupes is called Gaim. Kota is our main protagonist who becomes Kamen Rider Gaim, and he displays a charisma and relatability that makes it very easy to root for him. This show was another treat for fans of Rider vs. Rider battles and infighting. And Gaim is generally remembered very fondly by most of the community, and it would be impossible to tell the story of Kamen Rider without Gaim. 2013 would also deliver another fun-filled and action-packed team-up movie in Kamen Rider and Super Sentai and Space Sheriff Superhero Taisen Zeto. This was a sequel to the Superhero Taisen movie with the new addition of the Metal Heroes franchise. This movie features heroes from the three major Toei franchises on screen together to fight against the emerging Space Shocker, in a thrilling and nostalgic celebration of Kamen Rider and all of Toei.
That's a lot. I'm sorry. I don't know what she said, but it didn't sound like anything rizzy, but anyway.
In 2013, Toei and Bandai Namco released a game titled Kamen Rider Bat Ride War for the PlayStation 3.
Oh, it's the video game.
Slash style game and features
Awkward.
every Heisei rider up until Wizard. This game lets you take on large groups of enemies at a time during battle scenarios designed to make you feel like a powerful Kamen Rider. The success of this game would lead to several sequels over the years.
I can imagine.
2014 would see the release of Kamen Rider Drive, a car and police-focused season. Shinsuke is an officer that was demoted into the Special Investigation Division, where he investigates slowdown and fight against the Roid Mutes.
So we're going to car
He
fives
ventures
now
into
again?
Kamen Rider Drive using Belto-san and drives around in a stylish red car. Takahito Omori, one of the producers of the show, called it a tribute to Knight Rider, a car-focused show from the 1980s. The theme song for this season is sung by Mitsuru Matsuoka, who also played Kamen Rider Eternal in Double. Drive was a well-written and much-liked season that added to the Kamen Rider legacy in a positive way and kept the fandom entertained in 2014. – 2015 was a bit of a slow year for Kamen Rider, with the only project of note being Kamen Rider Ghost. This series used themes revolving around the afterlife as our main protagonist Takeru searches for the icons that will prevent his permanent death.
That's dark.
The suit designs of the season feature bold colors, elaborate helmet ornamentation, and hoodies, a look that I appreciate even today.
Oh, I like that. That's awesome. A video game?
2016 saw the introduction of one of the most bold, colorful, and fun Rider series of all time in Kamen Rider Ex-Aid. Celebrating the 45th anniversary of Kamen Rider, this is a show that takes place mostly in a hospital and focuses on a group of gaming doctors that battle against the Bugsters. This cast is loaded with charm and personality, especially our main protagonist, Emu.
I'm a Kamen Rider.
The suits have a really unique
Okay.
anime look, and almost everything has a look that you could perhaps best describe as being part anime and part retro gaming. It
Yeah.
might sound like a strange combination, but it works really well, and the aesthetic of Ex-Aid makes the show an incredibly memorable entry into the franchise.
Oh, for real?
In 2016, the Kamen Rider fandom was also treated to a new Rider series for adults called Amazons, based on the classic Kamen Rider Amazon, and
Yeah, I was gonna
streaming
say.
on Amazon Prime Video. This show featured a distinctively more violent style
They say just on Amazon Prime Video? Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up later.
compared with the mainline series, something that this show shares with the original. In fact, there's a lot of things from this show that I just can't show you on YouTube, because if I did, Kane Janai. This show featured only 12 episodes, but would get renewed for a second season. This series brought new attention to the classic Kamen Rider Amazon series, as well as attention to the Kamen Rider franchise as a whole, due to how prevalent Amazon Prime Video is throughout the world. – 2017 saw the debut of a cool new science and math themed Rider in Kamen Rider Build. After an item called the Pandora's Box was discovered on Mars, there was an event called the Skywall Disaster that split Japan into 3 warring territories, Toto, Hokuto, and Seto, and this also created monsters called Smash. In order to deal with the fallout of this event and to defeat Smash, the Toto government enlists help from our main protagonist, Sento. Sento is unquestionably a genius who henshins into Kamen Rider Build. This series also features Ryuga, also known as Crossy, as a captivating secondary rider with a well-written story, as well as Ivorto, an alien that wants to assimilate all of humanity. Due to Build's unique world building, interesting characters, and great story, this show has remained as one of the most loved and well-remembered series in Kamen Rider history.
Okay.
2018 brought us the final season of the Heisei era and the first anniversary season since Decade 10 years prior in Kamen Rider Zio. This year's show is themed around time and time travel. Our main protagonist Sogo is destined to become Oma King Zio, a ruthless tyrant of the future. To prevent this, Gaze goes back in time to kill Zio, but a woman named Tsukuyomi has also gone back to protect Sogo.
Why?
As this is an anniversary season, we're treated to a lot of throwback riders and various crossovers that longtime fans will appreciate, including grotesque versions of the riders that oppose our heroes.
Micro tests?
Zio was a love letter of a season written to the Kamen Rider franchise as a whole. Before the Heisei era officially came to a close, Toei released Heisei Generations Forever, a huge celebration of the entire Heisei era meant to appeal to fans both young and old. This movie is stuffed with fan service related to every one of the Heisei riders, and they each get a healthy amount of time to shine. The entirety of the Heisei era leads up to this point in a triumphant and thrilling climax, and this project marks the final Rider project before the next era.
What year are we on? The Reiwa era? Hopefully I said that right. Reiwa? I don't know.
2019 brought with it the Reiwa era in Kamen Rider 01.
Yo, it looks like a rave almost. Like a rave party outfit. That's dope.
This show follows Aruto Hiden, who is a comedian that inherits a company called Hiden Intelligence from his grandfather. Hiden Intelligence makes Humagears, which are AI-powered robots that resemble humans. Eventually, Aruto encounters MetsubouJinrai.net, who are rogue Humagears led by Kamen Rider Horobi, and they intend to bring about the extinction of humans by hacking and corrupting other Humagears.
Nice.
私は技術顧問の刃優愛、そして捜査官の
不破勇だ。
This show features Yaiba and Fua from the organization AIMS, also known as Kamen Riders Valkyrie and Vulcan, and their goals aren't always the same as Aruto's, or even each other's, leading to a really interesting story with explosive conflict. This show asks if AI is a good or bad thing, a question that's increasingly more relevant in today's world, and we would come to discover that there isn't necessarily a clear black and white answer to this.
That is very true.
01 featured a collection of amazingly detailed and dynamic looking suit designs, as well as action that I consider very anime-like in general. This is a season that's a treat for the eyes. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, the production of this series was cut short toward the end, resulting in a rushed final act of 01 and a change in tone for the next franchise entry.
Damn you, COVID.
In 2020, after the pandemic, with 01's production being cut short and most people staying at home, it was decided that the next Kamen Rider season would have a warmer and more lighthearted tone. This resulted in 2020's Kamen Rider Saber, a fun and whimsical take on the Kamen Rider formula that features a more lighthearted tone and even an outro dance number, which was a first of the franchise. Our main protagonist is a novelist named Toma, who was quite possibly the most stylish rider since Shotaro Hidari of Kamen Rider Double.
I'll be the judge of that one.
2020 was a year where the fans needed some lighthearted fun in their life, and Saber delivered on that.
これが仮面ライダーの本当の力。
In 2020, we were also treated to a brand new Kamen Rider game for PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch called Kamen Rider Memory of Heroes.
I wonder if that's on... Hold on a sec. I want to see if that's available right now. You can actually buy it. Because if I do that, I might actually... Yeah, it's actually available. $60 and... Oh, cool. It's actually on both of them. Add to cart. Talk myself into LibreVive. Add the cart. Add the cart. Add the cart. Good to know. You guys will see in the future of Finn Gaming. I recommend checking out that channel. Ed, put somewhere at the end where they can find Finn Gaming.
Game features Zero One teaming up with Double and O's in an original new Kamen Rider adventure that allowed fans to henshin, fight bosses, and switch between the awesome forms that these riders possess. Players could acquire new abilities from the enemies they defeat, as well as upgrade their stats. Despite the pandemic, Kamen Rider was alive and well in 2020.
I can imagine.
Going into early 2021, we got Saber and Zenkaiger Superhero Senki, a crossover movie project between Saber and Zenkaiger to celebrate Kamen Rider's 50th anniversary and Super Sentai's 45th anniversary.
Wow.
The catchphrase for this movie is straightforward heroes half of the century. During the events of the movie, riders end up in the Zenkai world, and the Zenkaigers, other than Jiran, end up in the Saber world, and eventually they team up together as you would expect. This movie served as an excellent anniversary celebration for fans of both franchises. Also in 2021, we got Kamen Rider Revice. Serving as the 50th anniversary project of the franchise, Revice is a story about Ikki and his inner demon, Vice, who are tandem riders that become Kamen Rider Revice. Ikki's family runs a bathhouse together, and his siblings also become riders as they use V-stamps to henshin and fight against the Deadmans. Revice brought a new style and vibe into the franchise, as well as some unique color choices for the riders. And the unique aspects of the show make it memorable within the history of Kamen Rider.
Yeah, I was going to say that pink is just very prominent. Ooh, I like.
2022 brought with it an absolute banger of a Kamen Rider season in Kamen Rider Geats.
Ooh, I
The
like.
series focuses on a battle royale with supporters and organizers from the future called the Desire Grand Prix. The winner of this battle royale will have their deepest desire granted to them, so the stakes are really high and the conflict is really interesting. Our main protagonist is Ace Yukio, who is the definition of being cool. We also have the famous social media star Neon, also known as Nago, who has a really great story arc, and she's very easy to root for.
I can imagine.
And then we have Keiwa, a happy-go-lucky character that goes through an intense story arc that turns him into a vengeful force of nature. This entry into the Kamen Rider franchise featured a great story, a great cast, and superb...
Wait, hold on a second. Go back a couple seconds.
Entry into the Kamen Rider franchise.
Alright,
featured a
pause
great
right here. Why does he look like he was from Don Brothers? Guys, comment below. Is this the same person in Don Brothers? Or am I just tripping? It's probably option B.
A great cast, and superb action scenes. Geats was so successful that it even received a Blu-ray release in America.
Oh, cool.
2022 also gave us the reimagining of the legendary Kamen Rider Black story with Black Sun on Prime Video. A much more violent and politically charged take on the classic series that took its own liberties with the source material. This series celebrates the 35th anniversary of Kamen Rider Black, serving as an example of just how iconic and legendary that series was. And did I mention it's really bloody? There's a lot from this show that I can't even show you on YouTube.
Ooh.
2022 also gave us the direct anime sequel to Kamen Rider Double in Futo Pi. This series follows Shotaro and Philip as they solve crimes and do Kamen Rider things in a post-museum world. Double is extremely popular, and the success of Futo Pi raises hopes that maybe someday the fandom will be treated to anime adaptations of more Kamen Rider series. And this show is even getting a film release this coming November.
That's cool.
In 2022, we also got the O's 10th anniversary movie, the 10th Core Medal of Fate, in which Eiji's story would come to an end, and many fans were quite unhappy about how it ended.
バカか。
なんでそんなことした？
I've had people tell me in the comments that in Japan people were crying in the theaters. Regardless of how you feel, this was a historically significant Kamen Rider project.
I could imagine.
"2023 brought us Kamen Rider Gotchard, a lighthearted and fun rider season focusing on Hotaro Ichinose, also known as Kamen Rider Gotchard.
どうしたおっぱは？
This series brought with it a new alchemy theme and a return to cards being used by the riders, in addition to fun creatures called Kimmies. This story explores the lives of Hotaro and his friend Rin Kudo as they seek to capture the Kimmies.
Trains.
After some more serious projects, Gotchard was a season that had a few shortcomings in terms of story beats and character development, but historically the franchise tends to ebb and flow between lighthearted kid-friendly seasons and darker seasons with more mature stories. Gotchard leans more towards being a kid-friendly season, like I just described, but this isn't necessarily a bad thing, and some fans might even view it as a positive. 2023 also gave us the incredibly stylish love letter to the original Kamen Rider series in the form of Shin Kamen Rider, another reimagining to celebrate the franchise's 50th anniversary. This movie set out to take everything that made the original series great and dial it up to 11. The look, tone,
Hold on, wait. Did she say what I think she said?
Original series great and dial it up to 11.
Ecstasy? Kamen Rider comes up with the weirdest shit.
The look, tone, style, and music are all faithfully recreated here, with a new layer of flair and high production values that only time and a large budget can provide. This movie tells a story that's a combination of several story beats from throughout the original series, and these elements are all stitched together in a really entertaining way. It's obvious that the people involved in making this movie had a ton of love for the franchise, and they put their hearts into making it.
I could imagine.
And now, in 2024, at the time of making this video, we finally have a look at the next rider coming up in Kamen Rider Gav, a snack-themed rider whose catchphrase is, "Sweets and evil, I'll eat..."
Wait, sweets and evil, based on food. Is this like the concept that we get from the other Sentais after a while? They come up with some weird concepts and we just say, you know what? It's a good idea. Let's do it. I don't know.
He has a unique purple, blue, and yellow color scheme, along with some other cool-looking forms. And if history is any indicator, this will be another big year for Kamen Rider.
I can imagine.
For 50 years, the Kamen Rider franchise has given us some amazing characters, interesting stories, jaw-dropping action, and heart-wrenching drama. We've seen hundreds of riders fight for what they believe in or who they care about, tons of evil organizations be brought to justice, and we've been lucky enough to enjoy this amazingly weird and wonderful world of triumph.
Weird indeed.
Kamen Rider.
Thanks for taking a trip with me through the history of this awesome franchise. I'd love to hear what your favorite Kamen Rider moment is in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it a lot if you would smack the out of that like button.
Oh,
thanks for watching.
you're very
I'll catch you
prominent.
next time. Boy.
So here's the thing I look at with things like Kamen Rider. It just seems like we're getting more of conception of what to expect when I do the openings and the morphing part or transformation. The only reason I'm doing the history first, because people like myself and people who have never heard of Kamen Rider and we have to research and stuff, it's very new and we're kind of, thrown against the board, and then they said, here, tell me about it. But now that we got a history and more understanding, the openings and the transformations will be more of an idea. I can say, you know what? I can't be very saying, oh, this is weird or this is stupid. I can actually say, you know what? This actually is probably not that bad. But overall, guys, I will have to say, if you enjoyed stuff like this, let me know in the comments below. We will be doing the morphing and transformations and the openings to Kamen Rider and everything else if you guys have any input. So, guys, thank you for watching. Check out the links where you can find me. As always, guys, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell. You know the drill. And also, check out the links where you can find Finn Gaming somewhere around here. My other sites actually do work and not be lazy about it. But thank you for watching. This is Michael, signing out.